welcome, surprise. This is the 5 Heart Podcast Live, and I'm not supposed to be here today. I'm your host, Greg Mahochko, and joining me over here is our founder and fearless leader, Mr. John Dam Johnston. Hello, John.
How you doing, Greg?
Doing great. How are you, sir?
I am peachy.
You look, I don't know about peachy, but you definitely look apricot-y.
I feel peachy.
Good.
It just came. They just peachy.
We missed you last week, sir.
What happened last week?
I mean, no, just you weren't here. We had Todd. Todd joined. It's the first time I've talked to Todd since before the Northwestern debacle last year, and we had this very special guest in Mr. Brett Baker.
Oh, how'd it go?
It went swimmingly. Todd was just angry enough to almost be as fun as you.
The guy is, you know what? The guy's ranty bits are coming along. He's starting to terrify me because sometimes he's getting better at this stuff than I am. I'm like, wow, I'm going to lose my job.
I don't think you can lose your job. You're the boss.
Well, you can. I can refire myself. I have before.
No.
We have a new guy with us.
Why don't you introduce? Because not only is he first time ever on the 5 Heart Podcast, but he's a recent addition to CornNation.com as a contributor. John, take it away.
This is Jarek Shear, and he has done, you guys had better be going to CornNation.com and getting ready for the season because he has done a bang-up job, a really good job on doing the position previews this fall for our beloved Nebraska Cornhusker team. How you doing, Jarek?
I'm doing pretty good, guys. How are we doing tonight?
I'm ready. You know, there's football Saturday.
Yeah,
there are actually football games.
It's going to be nice rooting for a 20-point underdog in Navy to beat Notre Dame in Ireland. So it's going to be fantastic.
I want to see horrible things happen. Not like plague or pestilence, but you know what I mean? I want to see like, I don't know, a guy up 11 and doing a terrible.
I was just about to say, I want to see Notre Dame down 11. Navy just scores, kick the onside kick, and actually recover the darn thing and just kill the game off. It would just be brilliant. Just do what we couldn't do. Honestly.
True.
It's got to work sometime, doesn't it?
Yeah, if enough teams go over there and do it. The law of what are the percentages? That's it.
Just law of averages, right?
Yeah, law of averages. There you go. It's a law.
Well, let's jump into the comments.
Wait, I was going to say something.
Okay.
All right. I didn't. How out of it I was Monday night was I didn't talk about the fact that I turned 8 on Monday until the end of the show. And on August 21st, 2015, now it's August 24th, so it's a little over 8 years. I died of a heart attack and was dead for 20 minutes. And I live with a brain injury every day, and I live with part of my heart being dead. What part is it, Greg? It's the part that had any love for Iowa or Creighton. So, it's worked out so far. I'm still here. I turned 8. When people look at me, I literally get this sometimes. Why don't you act your age? I look at them and go, I'm 8, you son of a bitch. I used to be, I was 7. Now I'm 8. And 61 at the same time. So I can act whatever age I want. There you go. That's the start. That's my bit here to start the show.
If it makes you feel any better, though, if you say you act your age, I'm 35. So until I turn 36 next Saturday, I sit here and I go, I'm this many. So just, I got to figure out how to get the second hand to work as a 6 yet. So I'll figure that out here in about a little over a week. But people act, I'm like, I'm this many. It's a great way to play with, play a game with my 2-year-old. But I'm like, hey. People will go, why don't you act your age? No. It's much more fun to act like a child.
Yeah, Greg.
And well, first of all, normally about this time, anytime John's death and rebirth comes up, the brain injury, the heart attack, I always reach to my left and grab the book and say, here it is. But if you're like, Greg doesn't look like he's in his familiar surroundings, I'm not. I'm in a hotel room in New Haven, Connecticut. So this is what I have to do. Go buy the damn book.
Oh, wow. Look at you being prepared. My God, that's impressive.
You can get it on Amazon. Can we go to the comments? Can we go to the Chatterfields now, John?
We can go. Yeah, we can. You're in charge. You do what you want.
Okay. Wow. Deion Pryor says, "Holy shit! Here we go, boys. GBR."
We're getting there.
And 111 Jimmy says, "Hey now." Thought there'd be something more to that. Brett, as always, says John Johnston and Full Metal Greg. I don't know what that means, but I'm here.
Oh, come on. You do too. Look at you. Look at you in this. Who do you look like right now?
If you say Private Pile, I'm going to reach through this screen and smack the shit out of you.
I was thinking you look like Joker. Okay, let's go on.
It looks like he's put on some makeup, so you never know. I mean, he's gotten all dolled up for this.
Cornhusker Corner with a great question. Here we go. Last 5 Heart podcast till game time, right? No.
Yes. What? No.
We'll do the show on Wednesday next week.
Oh, that's right.
That's why we're not full into game prep mode in this one. We're wrapping up fall camp with this show.
Wrapping
and
up
then
fall camp.
We'll prepare to kick the teeth out of Minnesota next week.
Okay.
Right, John?
Yes.
And we're going to start with your rotten son.
Right. What are we going to start with him? What do you mean?
Kicking teeth.
Oh, okay. Well, he's an ornery shit ass. Good luck with
That's why
trying to kick his teeth. Although, for the rest of this show, all I'm going to see is Full Metal Jacket. Thanks, Fred.
Texas. David Madney, who lives in Omaha, if you didn't know, says, good evening. Hello, David. Great to see you here. Let's see who is Fred. Follow. There are many podcasts, but this one is mine.
Very good. Very good.
Oh, excellent, Fred. Thank you so much for keeping the tradition alive. Well, let's jump in. So Corby Copa says, only 1 week until I break my TV. Kidding. We're winning a natty this year. That's right, 15-0. It's right there in the article. It's right there in the YouTube description for this episode. If you don't think we're going 15-0, are you even a fan at this point, John?
I think that, you can be inclusive and just include everybody and, include those people whose hearts have been broken and they can't yet bring themselves to love again.
So give it a week then, possibly, maybe. We got 7 days, right? We're fine.
Yeah.
That's the interesting thing, is because every time I do it on purpose. I put myself out there as the overreaching optimist. Last year, I said we were going to go, I think, 12-0. I don't think we got to the Big Ten championship, and those dashes were or those hopes were dashed, I should say, thanks to that play that we don't mention in that country across the pond. And the head coach who is no longer here. I don't think we're going to run into any of those situations in Minnesota. Because not to say that Matt Rhule's not a risk taker, I just don't think he's going to get overly fancy in the chair or in the game for the $5 Bits of Broken Chair trophy.
What do you think, Jarek?
No, I think honestly, if Matt Rhule tries the you're up 11 onside kick kill shot, honestly, it would be one of the ballsiest things to do in your first game as Nebraska head coach. And it would be just ballsy enough, it would work. To be quite honest with you, I feel like, honestly, if you're going to endear yourself to Husker Nation, throw out a kill shot that would be partially out of character, but really old school. I would love to see the flea flicker reverse pass Jeff Sims, a la stunts to crouch, just open up the conference season 1-0 with something heroic that would bring back the old school. Matt Rhule has tried to bring back the old Nebraska way. He sounds like a head coach who knows what he's talking about, knows how to develop guys, knows that the walk-on program means a lot. So why not throw back with a play or two that just says, you know what, let's stick it to everybody old school, and we're going to start it off with a conference opponent. Then we're just going to just run your ass square into the ground.
So other than a fullback trap, what?
What would really make me happy is if a fullback trap, just I formation in general, have Jeff Sims go option right, turn around, and just backpedal and throw a pass right to Thomas Fidone right over the top. Let's just go to hell with it. Just the I formation option pass, throw a deep ball. Let's just go old school right now.
I want to get more into nuts and bolts, X's and O's. But Branson Chav is here, and he pays to have his name on the show, and that's perfectly fine by us. But he says that John is an inspiration on this platform and to college football fans in general. Keep fighting the good fight. And John, I don't even know if you heard any of that.
I heard it. Thank you, Branson.
What are you doing? John, you know this is a live show, right?
Oh, it is a live show. I'm going through my library. I was looking for Milt Tenniper's book. Dadgummit.
The one you're never going to let me borrow?
I will never let anybody else touch it.
Haas Reuters it says the same thing. He says
it's a very valuable book. Nobody can touch it.
The pipeline.
Maybe after I'm done for good. But I was going to, if you wanted to go old school, everybody remembers the fullback traps because of come on, Corey Schlesinger, Miami, right? But I would say, one of the plays, I was going to try to pull it out of the book, but Osborne used to run some counter plays, and I can't remember what they were. But if we can see counter plays along with trap plays and linemen pulling, I will poop myself in the stands, metaphorically.
What? No, I said just go for it. That's just everybody else's problem who has to smell it behind you. That's not a you issue. That's for them to deal with.
I just screamed.
We're talking about the assembly line,
incontinence, right, and then there it goes. Sorry. What?
You're talking about the assembly line, right?
Yes, the book, the assembly line.
Why is that book so difficult to track down?
Because it's out of print, and I mean, it was published, I don't know, 1980 something, 1987, somewhere in there, maybe 1986.
January 1st, 2000?
It wasn't published in 2000.
Cross Training Pub, according to Amazon, Cross Training Pub, January 1, 2000.
I don't think that doesn't sound right. That sounds like somebody else's got, I know that Milt Tenniper's family had a whole bunch of them. And that's where mine came from, I believe. Ryan Tweedy got it signed for me, and you can't touch it. Nobody can touch it. That's why. And Milt Tenniper goes through all the explanations of all the blocking and how technical it is, and it's mind blowing how technical some of this stuff is.
You can get a good condition version of the assembly line for $99.95. I'm gonna put the link in the comments in case anybody wants to scoop it up, because again, you just never see it. So this is not an endorsement. We're not being paid for this, but if you want the assembly line, Milt Tenniper's book, I just put the link in the YouTube comments. So check it out. $99.95 if you want that.
Dadgum. It's back there somewhere.
Yeah.
He'll find it before this.
He'll
find it before this done.
I am starting. Just find it by next week. Don't do it on the show.
All right.
That's ridiculous. Nobody wants to see your ass that big.
I was wearing pants, kind of things.
I know.
Coverings.
They're a little bit form fitting, and we got a lot of wandering eyes in the comments. I'm just like,
I have red Zubas I should be wearing. Okay, let's move on. What are we doing?
I'm starring. I'm starring a lot of comments because we have a lot of good ones coming in.
Okay.
So here's an easy one. I don't have to star it. No offense, Ted, but Ted Hilker says John rules.
I like this. You guys are good for my ego.
Fred thinks that you are Branson Chav and that you're paying yourself.
shameless.
You know what the
self-promotion
problem
at my
with
rate.
that is the multitasking involved there. I'm not really that good at multitasking anymore.
Dion says that the fullback trap was always the first play of the game under TO. And Fred back again says, rather have John poop himself in the stands than the Huskers poop themselves on the field for the 100th ignominious time.
That's
I mean,
true.
there are only a finite number of ways to lose a football game, and particularly by one score. I swear to God, Scott Frost found every damn one in the book. Like, just take a moment to applaud just the sheer brilliance of how many ways he figured out how to way to lose. Just, at what point in time do you just go from being mad to just impressed?
Well, that's true. I mean, the whole punt to the complete opposite side of the field and coverage. I mean, good God, an onside kick up. It was really amazingly, I don't know, nightmarish. Some kind of bingo card trip from hell.
Yeah, I mean, no wonder why Hollywood went on a writer's strike. I mean, Scott Frost wrote, "Here's all the scenarios we could find a way to lose. Which one are we just throwing a dart at this week? Come on." Just
Cornhusker Corner is a fan, John.
Okay. I haven't heard that in a long time.
in about
Here we
10
go.
seconds.
Drake says, only thing I'm asking for this season is another amazingly goofy T-shirt design from you. From you bunch, but John, you do. I would say this, Drake, maybe you want to set your sights a little higher. We can always do wacky T-shirt designs, but really we want W's.
I hope that we have something that will surprise everybody in the next few days. I'm not going to say anything about it. We'll just see what happens.
John, you can't dangle that carrot and then be
yes, I can. I can too.
You can't leave us hanging there. No,
I can because it's not up to me. It's up to the artiste that I have working on it to finish. And he is a very perfectionist guy.
Okay. Could you give us a tease?
There is no hopes. There's no there is no hint.
I think you forgot the other parts after there's no hope on that, John.
Okay, let's move on. We will hope to have something next few days.
We're hoping that there is hope this next week for that. But yeah, let's just hope you don't have to say that again.
Jarek, in regards to all the creative ways that Nebraska has found ways to lose games in the last few years, Husker Chuck says, we never took a safety while taking a knee at the end of the game to lose by 1.
No, but the last time we were in Minnesota, we had a fourth-year quarterback go into the end zone and take a safety for no describable reason. That hurts enough. Oh, why are we going to the back of the past? Now I was trying to love again, and now it's just bringing up the old pain.
There was a safety involved with the Iowa game, though. I mean, it was a fourth quarter safety before the whole, blocked punt problem.
What was it, 2 years ago against Illinois, the season opener there, right? Where,
yeah.
Oh, gosh,
I can't.
We're reliving this stuff. What?
The kick return that ended up in a safety, that was.
I already paid off my therapist, you sons of bitches.
MK wants to know, John, is it an alternate Cobby shirt, maybe in blue?
No.
Oh.
So he was quick to answer with that one.
Well, I'm not just.
James Marshall says a movie could be made about how Scott Frost was being threatened by organized crime to find so many ways to lose. In this wacky script, he comes out looking like a champ.
There is one possibility that we really haven't ever considered.
What's that?
He was betting on his own games. I mean, look at Iowa. Look at Iowa. Look at Iowa State. They are losing players by the day.
He would never do that, John.
Oh, fine, not. I don't. There was $7.5 million at stake. I think people would do a lot of shit for $7.5 million.
Like take the under with Brian Ferentz as your offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Imagine the easiest money. That's the easiest money they're ever going to. I mean, people saying that they took the under on the. Yeah, no shit. I mean, it's one of the easiest damn things. It's one of the easiest damn guesses you can make. Easiest damn bets you can make all year. Take the under on Iowa scoring more than. I would put a prop bet on whether or not Iowa's defense and special teams was going to put up more than their offense was before the end of the game.
That's true.
And you'd probably get better odds on the offense, actually, paying out more money.
Lucas, and I apologize, Lucas, because no matter how I try to pronounce your last name, I'm going to butcher it, so I'm just not. But Lucas says, I've been saying this for a year, Frost bet on his own games. Interesting conspiracy theory.
And this might be the reason why we can't gamble on Nebraska and Nebraska teams when they are at home, but you can do it on the road. So maybe Scott Frost, if he was still the head coach, would have been perfect at home this year, but then for the road.
Now, we also have to, I think for legality purposes, we have to say allegedly across the board. We don't know anything. And this is more for entertainment than indicting.
Just like gambling, entertainment purposes only.
Yeah. Cornhusker Corner says Scott was, I'll use parenthetical, allegedly, shaving points. What an idea. How did I not think of this? This makes too much sense, and I didn't see it because I was blinded by love for the idea of Scott Frost.
Look, I'll admit it. When we first hired Scott Frost, I thought, like a lot of other people, the home run hire. It is the right hire. Let the prodigal son come home and turn the program around. If you would have told me this would have blown up in spectacular fashion the day he got hired, I'd have looked at you like you're crazy. But it is what it is. It happened. Just got to kind of laugh it off, and you move on. Now you got Matt Rhule, a guy who's good at developing players, and now let's see what he can do with it.
Branson's back. Thank you, Branson, for the donation to my beer fund. That I don't see it for whatever reason. But John, does the majority of your family support Nebraska or Minnesota? I think I know the answer to this question.
What is the answer, Greg?
I think it's Minnesota.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think Nebraska has lost so much that they're in the position I am without the emotional ties that are really strong to Nebraska. They're like, I'm tired of watching this losing shit. At least Minnesota wins the most majority of their games. Now, here's the thing with those kinds of people. They're fickle. They're really fickle. If Nebraska starts playing well, doing things nice, then I can bring them all back to my side, except for my rotten son that's a Minnesota alum. And if we win, he'll just pretend he doesn't care because he's a rotten kid. Son of a bitch. Anyway, I think they want to see Nebraska do well. I think that they, like my oldest son really wants and my daughter, they want to see Nebraska have a team that plays well and wins games because, they watched me grow up and have conniption fits year after year in front of the TV. And they learned all the swear words possible in any conjunction, any possible like mixture of swear words put together. So, nobody surprises them anymore. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out next Thursday because there will be 6 of us going to the game together.
I'm going to try to phrase this question, John, as not
diplomatically
crass as possible.
Okay.
As diplomatically as possible because we love you.
Okay. Is this an intervention question? Is that what it is? Okay.
No. I feel like it's a little darker, and I don't want it to be dark. But when we talk about your family and them wanting Nebraska to succeed for you, do they want to see Nebraska win again before you die again?
Well, yeah, I think everybody wants that, don't they?
I do.
Yeah.
If we're up to me, Nebraska would win every year, John.
15-0.
That's right. All right. We got a lot of.
You have way more comments. Didn't we have topics we were supposed to do?
I have 20 highlighted comments, so I'll work on it, folks. I promise. Let's just dive into a few of them. We'll knock them out a little bit at a time. We'll hold off predictions for a little while. Lucas said this earlier. He said, John, I hope you don't need to go to the bathroom this year to rant.
Same.
I think we can all agree on that.
That's a goal.
Cornhusker Corner said, John, you should do an audiobook. I can't read, but I would love to listen.
I have attempted that. I'll be honest. It took me 3.5 years, 4 years to write that book. I cried every time I wrote it. I cried every time I edited it. It's a difficult topic when I get right down to it. That's why I wrote it, so I could just take it and say, this was this part of my life. And now I need to move on. I mean, it's still there, but sometimes it is. What I've found is this: I could talk about my own death if I do it like a stand-up comedian. But in a lot of situations, I am talking to people who are survivors themselves, and they don't appreciate the comedic routine sometimes. So there you go. That's why there isn't an audiobook. That's the honest to God truth.
Not a lot of people, when you have kind of, a death or near death experience, when you talk to a lot of people, not a lot of people are appreciative of the it's funny because I lived aspect of the humor of it. A lot of people, if you've kind of have that problem, I not to toot my own horn here, but I probably should have been dead a handful of years ago, because the last time we played Northern Illinois on a Saturday, I ended up in the hospital 2 days later with multiple blood clots in my leg. I went the Tommy Frazier route and had one that ended up in my heart, and luckily had gotten through. But like everybody, just always cracking, the people I hang out with, cracking jokes left and right. And, I talk to certain people like, you shouldn't joke about it. And I go, it's funny because I lived. Yeah, I could have very well died. But you know what? The fact that I'm still here to kind of, laugh and joke about it and, talk about things is like, just appreciate the fact that I'm still here. Yeah, it sucked. Don't get me wrong. And yeah, nearly died. No, not fun. Who says, yeah, I want to die and, is excited about it? It's like death is a lot like going to work. Nobody wants to do that. Who are we kidding? It's just much funnier if you just can, have people around you that if you're going to go to hell, why not laugh about it?
Okay, Greg.
That's an interesting idea. Bone Lead Corn Fed says, is Sims good enough to win the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Trophy?
I think we better see him on the field before let's face it. All the stuff that we've heard about, how great our players is, we've heard this many years in a row. So let's just see. You know what? Let's do the guy the justice of just letting him play and see what happens. So
there's the hype, John. If you're not involved in the hype, what are we doing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, he is good enough to win the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Trophy.
And Dion says Minnesota's secondary sucks this year, so Sims will hit some TD passes.
I hope that's the case.
I think the offensive line is better built to protect the quarterback, particularly from a pass blocking standpoint. It was a lot of times where they were, basically using a spatula to pry Casey Thompson off the turf. But as the year progressed last year under Mickey Joseph, quite honestly, the pass blocking got a lot better. When Thompson had the time to throw, he looked really, really good. Yeah. Having Trey Palmer doesn't hurt by any stretch of the means, and we'll see what the wide receiver core can do this year. But honestly, if the pass blocking takes another step in the correct direction, Sims will have plenty of time to throw. And I think, honestly, you could probably look somewhere in the low to mid 60s, hopefully, for completion percentage.
Well, let's back up the conversation just a couple minutes.
Okay.
To the near-death experiences, because our very own beloved Fred said it's funny because I lived is a thing. I almost bought it a decade or so ago, but now we have a good laugh. It is what it is, and you'd be happy you're still here. So, Fred, we're happy you're here. We're happy all of you Chatterfields are here, but Fred makes it interesting and entertaining every week, especially when I only read the front half of his comments and then come back and be like, oh.
Oops, I left something out there.
Let's see. Discerning Truths. John says, John, you're the favorite Husker meme on Discord. There is no hope. Fuck everything. Go Big Red. What do you feel about that?
I will. You know what? Hopefully we'll have an announcement on something about that later.
Okay.
This might be the new T-shirt design. Is that what you might be hinting at?
I'm saying nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's hot in this room. My God, what the hell?
There's that ass again.
Yep.
Fred's lady was looking at that earlier.
Yeah. Okay.
MK says, John, do you have any good side bets with your family on the outcome of the Minnesota game?
No.
Is it like if Nebraska wins, then the rotten son has to come over and rub your feet or cook you dinner or something like that?
He won't do that. There's been nothing brought up yet, and I doubt there will be.
It's never too late, John.
No, you know,
You got a week yet.
I know we have a week.
By the time we get together next Wednesday, I want to have at least 3
Wait a minute. No side bets. No side bets.
No.
I hate side bets.
Okay.
It's like literally saying to God, "Oh, we're going to make fun of John again by making his team lose." That's really what it is.
It's worth that chance. It's worth that chance, though.
Oh.
All right. Brian Anderson said 20 minutes ago, thanks, Brian, for hopefully hanging around. The old school way doesn't work anymore. I'd love to see it, but this day and age, it's a completely different game. Do you think that I don't disagree that the game has changed, but do you think that there could be everything kind of cyclical? So do you think that a school, a program, a team could have success by doing it the way it was done 25, 30, 35 years ago?
I don't think that's what this is about.
Okay.
I mean, you look at Nebraska's football team right now. We don't have any receivers that are really proven. Marcus Washington, right? He's probably the top guy coming back, but he's still kind of injured, hasn't practiced a lot. Other than that, what do we have? We have a lot of potential, the P word, right? So you have, what else do you have? You have 3 running backs that we know are pretty good running backs, I think. Ramir Johnson, to me, is just as that guy. I want to see that guy explode this year. And you have an offensive line that, I think last year they run blocked better than they pass blocked. And you have a bunch of guys that are trying to learn a new offense. I don't think what we start with is going to be what we finish, what in a year or two, we're going to see the same things out of Matt Rhule and Marcus Satterfield. But going into this Minnesota game, I think you look at it and you go, we're going to have to run the ball because that's probably where we're most likely to be successful with the tools that we have on hand. So I think my favorite offense that I've seen in the last few years was what Urban Meyer ran at Ohio State. It was kind of like a power spread. That's what I would really love to see us run for an offense. But again, do we have the tools in place? Do we have the pieces in place to do that? I don't think so.
I think with – oh, go ahead.
I was going to Fred's comment here, it said it's a different game, but it is cyclical, and I think Matt Rhule and his Patrick Duffy leg is a good bridge between old and new that should pay dividends. Thank you, Fred, as always. Jarek, what were you going to say, buddy?
And I think, too, with the run game in particular, you got, bruisers like Grant and Irvin, and you got a guy like Ramir Johnson. We have 3 pretty strong running backs, I feel, and Ramir could serve as a potential guy who you could flare out into the flat and turn into another receiver. Yeah, you have Marcus Washington, who's dealing with his hand injury. Xavier Betts being gone is a huge blow, which leaves you now Billy Kemp and Malachi Coleman, 2 guys who are new to the program, new to the system, and are learning on the fly. So why not take advantage of going a little bit old school and trying to pound it down somebody's throat? For me, the one thing I think, as far as a team that went old school, where it worked for a little bit, was Paul Johnson in Georgia Tech, where Jeff Sims transferred from. They ran the old, the service academy, the wishbone, the double wing T, and it was really effective, and it produced a real strong wide receiver in Demarius Thomas. Got to throw out my Denver Broncos love out there while I'm at it. But it's proof that a heavy running offense could produce a famous wide receiver. keep in mind, Nebraska was a real heavy running offense and had the first overall pick in Irving Fryer.
Right.
So I think it could come back around.
Jarek, hold on.
Yeah. You're gonna knock me for every single team I root for. You are probably going to hate with a passion.
Broncos.
Yes, sir.
Here's the thing. I don't have any room to talk. You're a Broncos fan
Yep.
and a Cubs fan.
Yep.
And a Huskers fan, which I'm fine with Huskers, obviously. I'm a Husker fan, Cardinals fan, Steelers fan.
Oh, Cardinals. Well, at least you're not a Chiefs fan. I've got friends who are Cardinals and Chiefs fans, and seriously, I mean, they're great people, but God, why do I have to deal with them? Seriously, I get along with them just fine. Just pick a better sports team.
Living in Omaha, David, look, we have a few questions that we go back to the past. So David Matty says, where would Adrian Martinez be now with a coach who put in the time and effort? And before you gentlemen, esteemed that you are, answer that, Fred says Adrian would still be a third string with the Lions. He had no coaching, but he was not awesome. I think that, look, remember that Adrian did not play his senior year in high school because of the injury. And then he came here out of football for, almost 2 years and did the best that he could. And I think could have been better with, to David's point, some development and some better people around him. We all thought Mario Verduzco was going to come in and be the quarterback coach of the future or
Right.
whatever to develop play. Nobody on that staff excelled at development. Few of them were competent at development, I feel like. So you get a coaching staff in there who knows what to do with with an Adrian Martinez. I don't want to say the sky's the limit. I don't want to be that lofty, but I do feel like his career could have been better.
Yeah.
John, if you want to go ahead and take this one first.
You know what? I think that anytime I don't think about it as coaching. Think about the people you've dealt with in your life and the organizations you've been. As a consultant, I've worked with all sorts of organizations, and the ones where the leaders don't give a clear, example or a clear message and clear vision about what they want to do, the people struggle because they don't know what to do every day. I mean, I've worked in companies where you come in and, if the boss is in, everybody walks on pins and needles because he's a tyrant and an explosive personality. And that just gives you, you're constantly worried about that guy exploding on you rather than doing your job. That necessarily wasn't Scott Frost, but it's the different management styles and the different things you experience. If it's not consistent, if you don't know what the message is, don't know what the vision is, and you don't know what your goals are, it's hard to develop at anything. So, I look back at that staff and I kind of go, wow, it's amazing you even didn't, I don't know, assault each other, because it had to be a complete dysfunctional mess for 2 or 3 years. So,
and I would also say too, Adrian Martinez didn't have who was hurt a fair amount and not really through much fault of his own. I mean, let's be real, outside of Cam Jurgens, I mean, look at the offensive line he had with him for about 4 years. But for me, if he was able to be developed progress, at least decently, Adrian Martinez would easily be a backup quarterback somewhere. Look at just look at the pure stats and records that Adrian Martinez holds.
yeah.
And you look at how everybody looks at the Scott Frost era and what a huge bust it ended up being. But Adrian Martinez, come hell or high water, could still fill up a stat sheet. Granted, at times there's things that you can sort of develop and coach and yet can't, and that's the ability to close games. He wasn't known for being able to close out a game to get that crucial score in the fourth. But he still owns a ton of school records. And you go, and that's with this previous coaching staff that wasn't known to be around and to be able to develop anybody. So I think, honestly, yeah, he looked okay the other day as a third stringer for the Lions quarter. But I honestly think with proper development under the Lions organization, he could easily be a backup somewhere and possibly for a fair number of years. I mean, look at a guy like Blaine Gabbert. I mean, he was a star in Missouri, and the dude's made the most money out of any career backup quarterback. And that includes Matt Flynn, who had 2 separate contracts from the Green Bay Packers at the same time.
Let's also not forget that Adrian Martinez had people out. He had Stanley Morgan Jr., who himself, set a record in Nebraska, which because of Nebraska's history, I mean, because of the history of the program and the way they played the game for so long, I feel like it wouldn't take a ton of effort. I'm not trying not to minimize Kenny Bells or the Stanley Morgan Jr., but wouldn't take a whole lot of effort to, make your mark in the receiving record books. But, and he had some tight end help at times, when they were healthy. But yeah, I don't think Adrian Martinez gets necessarily his flowers because of the injuries, because of the lackluster record that he had in Lincoln. So, the inability to close out games is probably going to be the ultimate stat that everybody will look at in his career and go, what was his win-loss record as a starter? And it'll be, you look at all those records he put up and be like, yeah, that's great. What was his record as a starter? And you just kind of just go, oof. Yeah, and that's why, oftentimes when there's, well, let's go back to 2009, and Ndamukong Suh should have won the Heisman, but he wasn't. While he might have been the best player in the country, he wasn't the best player on the best team. So a lot of, you're exactly right, Jarek. The records and the overall success of the team definitely weighs into how a player is remembered. We see some of that with some of the top quarterbacks who go into the next level, but they don't pan out. But they're remembered as, he's tremendous. I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but like Tim Tebow's a name, he was fine. I think he was a game manager. I don't think he was anything illustrious.
He was a damn good college quarterback.
Also, I noticed you pick on Tebow being a Steelers fan. You're just still bitter that he beat you in the playoffs. That one playoff win. You brought it up. Well, I was going to turn around and use that against you.
I'm fine with that. I'm still a little mad. You're right, but that's not the first. It was the first name that came to mind as far as lofty expectations maybe coming out of college. And
prime example right now, you look at Trey Lance and the situation with the 49ers. Trey Lance was a heralded quarterback out of North Dakota State, and yet here he is being the third string quarterback because he's getting beat out by Mr. Irrelevant, who happens to be Brock Purdy, who's going to end up probably starting again for San Francisco this year.
All right, let's jump back into some of these. And by the way, if you have comments that are specific about the game, like predictions about Nebraska, Minnesota, we will get to those. We're going to try to put it off towards the end. By the way, we're 45 minutes into this thing, and we've not really even scratched the surface on some of the topics. Okay, John, that's where we want to go. All right, so John, do you have the IV of Kool-Aid running through your veins now?
No.
What's it going to take?
Yeah, it's good. I told you I'm not ready to love again.
I don't care. John, you look.
My heart has been broken so many times. I just want to see us play a good game, and then I'll go from there.
Love waits for nobody, John.
Listen to me.
But, oh my God, I got Gomer Pyle all over now. Let's move on. Let's go to the future.
Okay. I was trying to.
I could be old and crusty. You can just dismiss me as, he's old and angry.
Hey, so we haven't talked about it. We haven't talked about it, but since the last time we got together, well, obviously since the last time John and I got together, which was 2 weeks ago, but since the last 5-Heart show, the Huskers, the team, went into their new locker room.
They did.
That's a shiny new, expensive little piece. One of the really just continues to add on to Nebraska's tradition of always kind of being on the forefront of the player. In the 90s, it was the weight room. I think even before that, it was, nutrition. And then they really have been on the cutting edge of like mental health and working with the student athletes to promote everybody's, mental well-being. And this is a really nice facility that
what it reminded me of? The czars, the opulence, the height of Versailles before the revolution tore them down. Anyway, they were just gross. I looked at that and went, oh my God, please. I couldn't. Are the urinals gold? Are they platinum? Are they some kind of unobtainium? That's probably what they're made out of.
That would require everything to be blue in that locker room, and that really doesn't work for a school that's predominantly red. John,
are you just jealous?
It's red of unobtainium. Well, I'm not jealous. I just kind of looked at it and went, oh my God. I was overwhelmed.
But think about,
I was a poor country boy or something.
Was?
Well, yeah. I'm a minimalist. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, move on.
I've seen your mansion in the hills. What you don't know is John's in the basement. He's in the spare room of his guest house. So.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Which is conveniently that door to his right. It just happens to be connected to the pool house. I'm sure.
You're right.
As warm as it's been here, that's got to be to the pool house.
But little pieces like that, right? The updated facilities that attracts recruits. It's an investment, John.
I know it does. Oh my God, is that really what it takes?
No, it shouldn't. Not when you start winning.
Weren't you supposed to have like what Deion Sanders did with the purse in the car or some damn thing?
Oh, the Louis and Lambo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's. Holy cow! I fell behind on comments. We got 17 more comments that came.
Yeah, see that?
The Louis and the Lambo. That's just because Deion's just not hard to find.
I got to address this one. Sim in Bangkok says, "What are you guys doing up this late?"
Greg forces me to be up this late, John.
It's almost 11 o'clock here on the East Coast, so
that's a friend of mine in Bangkok.
Well,
a Husker fan in Bangkok.
Welcome.
He writes like movies and produces or does stuff with movies.
Nice.
And teaches English, I think.
If
you've ever seen the movie Bangkok Knockout, I mean, come on, who was the Thai fighter, the Thai martial arts guy? Was it Jet Li? Not Jet Li. Tony. Shit. Anyway, let's move on. If you watch some of those movies that they do with the Thai martial arts stuff, it's just unbelievable. Some of the stunts they do that nobody dies. Tony Jaa, there you go. It's just, oh man, it's not the old Kung Fu theater that I grew up with, are you sure you're okay, Chin-La? And the mouth keep moving. Okay, let's move on. Thanks for being here, John.
Fred says that the locker room is nuts, looks like a museum, a mall, and a spaceship had a love child.
That's a damn good description.
Yeah, that's about accurate.
John.
What?
Cornhusker Corner says wins. I'll be drinking the Kool-Aid again whenever we start winning again. Does this mean I'm not optimistic? I am, but damn, my expectations are set very low on purpose.
I love you, man.
That's what I tell my wife. Lower your expectations and lower the risk of disappointment.
There you go.
Expectations low, hopes high. That's how you got to ride it.
Clay says, Greg, where is the red? That's a great question. Again, I'm in a hotel room in Connecticut. My red is in my closet in Illinois. I didn't think I'd be on the show tonight, but
I made him.
John says the audio isn't horrible, so here I am. I apologize to you, Clay. I apologize to everybody. And hey, if you want me to wear red, then drop like 15 or 20 bucks into the YouTube comments here, and I'll try to find a red shirt for next week. Which shouldn't be difficult because I'll be back home.
Oh, you better
What?
Chance Johnson has asked the same question twice at least now.
Is it about Tony White's defense?
Yes.
Is it possible that I missed it the first time because I'm scrambling over here like a madman?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
That's how it goes with the live show, buddy.
All right, so Chance Johnson says, thoughts on Tony White's defense. How many points can we hold Minnesota to? Now, there is a question from way, way, way back in the show.
Way back.
Where Fred, of all people, was wanting to get us back to football and says, I think for the Minnesota game, our defense, the wacky 3-3-5 will be the X factor that helps us steal the dub. See, we kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And as I've tried to do with the previews, I've been kind of trying to piece together what Tony White's 3-3-5 is going to look like. Do you use 3 genuine bigs? Do you use 3 linebackers? Do any of the linebackers show up as any of the 5 defensive backs? Do you use purely 5 defensive backs? Minnesota is more of a run first team. So I would see probably three linebackers, but of the 5 defensive backs, I wouldn't be surprised to see a guy like a Snodgrass or a 5th linebacker playing a rover or maybe a spy on Minnesota's quarterback. Or you turn around and say, all right, which one of our better defensive ends could you turn around, or more athletic defensive ends can turn around and drop back in the passing game and play in a zone that they're not used to seeing. So it's going to be new for everybody, I think, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch because you don't know, just you get a run heavy team like an Illinois or a Minnesota that's just going to try to pound the ball. When you get to like Brett Bielema, obviously you're going to use 3 probably big off defensive linemen and probably 2 or 3 bigger linebackers and let most of the defensive backs be part of the 5 and just kind of shell around. We might not see that with Minnesota or, when we get to Colorado in a couple of weeks. I'm more interested to see how he turns around and incorporates that and whether or not there are more hybrid positions in between each level.
Defense in this game coming up against Minnesota, the magic number is 24. I think if you hold Minnesota to 24 points, you win the game. Likely. If Minnesota scores more than 24 points, they're going to win the game.
I think it was on last week's show. Don't hold me to that. I've slept a lot and kind of drank a little bit more than usual since then. But one of my bettors, be it Brett or Todd, said 1st to 30.
Yeah.
So
I think so. That's what it's about.
Let's see. Clay again, what says, big question answer here. What defensive coordinator did Minnesota last face?
Well, it would have been last year. It would have been Bill Bush, wouldn't it?
Yeah, should have been.
In all the madness that was last year. I don't miss last year. Last year was a lot of unnecessary turmoil and drama for Nebraska, for the players, the fans. That's why I haven't necessarily some of the comments have gone back in time, and I think this might be the last. Realistically, it's not going to be the last time we mention former HCSF, but I definitely do want to shift my focus and my mentality to what's coming, not what's been in the past. So
that's healthy.
Thank you.
We want to be a healthy show.
We're working on our own mental health, right, John?
Yeah.
Brando's Sports World has a programming question. Will next week's live be on Friday since the game is on Thursday? or will it be Wednesday? It will be Wednesday.
Yeah.
Brando's Sports World. So make sure that you tune in Wednesday at the normal time, 9 o'clock Central.
I'm gonna actually. I think I'm gonna be on with Connor at Corn Craze before that.
Volleyball should have wrapped up a sweep by then.
Cornhusker Corner wants to make a bet with you, John.
Yeah.
John, I'll make a bet with you. If we win the Big Ten this year, you got to get a crew cut.
No, I'm not giving up my beautiful locks for anything unless it's a good cause for, I don't know.
What if it's 15-0, John?
That, if we go 15-0, I'll cut my hair down on my, like something. I don't know.
Like, look, you're not Samson.
Will you just move on? There was no hair cutting.
Well,
Just stop.
I would just
wait. What are the chances that the Huskers have been down because you haven't got a haircut?
I'm seeing the pile thing again. See what you're doing to my chair? Can you see this? You see this? You see this? See what's happening to my office chair? You guys are start tearing pieces off of it because you're making me anxious.
John, look, you have great hair. Keep it while you got a chance. I'm 35 and bald, for God's sakes. I can't get that back.
See that, Greg?
Just keep the hair while you can. Seriously, I've got the Friar Tuck look perfected. I look like the headphones are covering all this. But trust me, like I've had buddies where if I get drunk, we'll write an H and like a helicopter pad and try to land a drone on it. It's not pretty. You don't want that. Just keep the hair while you got a chance.
Fred says that John is too Samson and calls me a son of a bitch. Thank you. That's where he gets the power for his rants.
Yeah.
And Brando's Sports World says John wants to look like those dirty hippies in Colorado. Just kidding, John. We love you.
I just want to point out that I want to look like those dirty hippies, not be like those dirty Colorado hippies.
John, ask yourself
what the hell kind of question is that? Oh, my God. Anyway, let's go back to football.
Okay. All right, let's get back to football. Find some of these. Okay. Fred says a long time ago, serious question. If we somehow lose to PJ Flem next Thursday, how disappointed will you guys be? Like, fuck it all disappointed, or okay, first year, it's okay disappointed?
I'll be okay. I don't expect us to win the game. I don't.
John.
I did a video earlier. I said we have about a 30% chance winning.
Jarek.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's the chance.
You're saying there's a chance. I would say I would be really disappointed, like fuck it all disappointed, if we just got the doors blown off of us. If we turn around and lose by 20, like I would be like PJ Fleck, permanently Botox eyelid, just eyebrows and surprised formation the entire way. That's a level of disappointment I don't want to deal with. I see, honestly, if we're within the spread, fine. I'm okay with that. Show me signs of life between this opening game and last year. You want to look ahead to the future? Show me how this is going to work. And if it looks good, even for 45 out of the 60 minutes, and you lose a nail biter, you know you're going to probably turn around and win games that you are ultimately supposed to win. Right. Which is a step in the correct direction.
I'll say this. Rome wasn't built in a day, so Rome's not going to burn down in a day. I won't be fucking all disappointed. Again, I'm the guy who says 15-0 and is hopped up on the Kool-Aid and has been since April, so I'll be disappointed. But I won't be fire Matt Rhule disappointed. I won't go to those extremes. It's not my style.
There's going to be those who are going to, come out and be like, even lose by 1. There's going to be the joking, fire Matt Rhule. Yeah. Obviously, everybody just calmed down. But, lose by 20. Yeah, it's not a good look.
No. Deion Pryor says sometimes a 30% chance brings rain, John.
Yeah, I get it. Let me explain one way to look at this season. One way to look at this season that we're facing just in a not very distant future. You look at the programs we play: Minnesota, Colorado, Northern Illinois, blah, 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 Northwestern, Purdue. Which of these programs are on solid footing? Minnesota is on solid footing. They have a coach that's been around for a while. They know what they want to do on offense. They know what they want to do on defense. All of their players know that too. Okay, that's the thing about them. Colorado, not solid. There's no footing whatsoever there. So that's likely a win. Northern Illinois, probably not. I don't think they have a lot of starters returning. Unless we screw around with them, that's a win. Louisiana Tech win. Michigan, I don't know. Are they on solid footing? So that's one way to look at it. Illinois, pretty solid footing with Brett Bielema. Northwestern, there's no footing whatsoever there. There's nothing existing there anymore. Purdue, not a solid footing, not enough not enough returning starters, first-year coach.
You're taking next week's content and throwing it disheveledly into this week's show.
Disheveledly. This is just one perspective. This is one. Okay. There are thousands of perspectives to look at. When you look at the data, Michigan State, not solid footing. Maryland, pretty solid. Wisconsin, not solid footing. There you go. You could you could use this to bug your friends. That whole solid versus not solid thing. I want to see it out there in the next week or so. People on Twitter, blah, 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 message boards.
I know a lot of people have Iowa winning the West. Honestly, if you ask me, I honestly think it's Illinois. Illinois has a real good shot to be the Big Ten West winner.
Well, they're going to have to get through Nebraska. That's all I got to say. Fred, I applaud your comment, Fred. All right. Okay. Cornhusker Corner says that John Coronation might be the one Nebraska YouTube channel that thrives better when we're losing just because of the rants. Only time in winning will give us all the data on that, I guess.
I want to turn that around. I want to be a force for positive and a force for ranting happily.
Then get on the damn Kool-Aid, John.
No, that has to happen. I'm not an actor. I can't cry on, the snap of a finger.
John is a seasoned, pessimistically optimistic kind of guy.
Yeah. Seasoned being the key word there.
All right. We got a few of these. Cornhusker Corner says, I'm going to the Michigan game coming in from Houston. Can't wait to go to Runza and get an ice cream sandwich and a cheese Runza. Anything else they should get when they're at Runza, John?
I don't know. I haven't been to Runza for a very long time. Here's what happens. Whenever I go to Lincoln, right? I go to Lincoln and I think I got to go to the Machachu's place. The food truck guy, Nick Mestis. Nick, that's what I know his first name. I always say I got to go to that place, and then, my sister wants me to do stuff, and then other people call, and then I never get to go where I want to go, and it's just a mess. I don't know what else to. What you should do is you should go to find the Nick Muchachos truck. The burrito guy. Everybody says that he's like one of the most wonderful restaurants in Lincoln in the history of mankind.
Clay says you got to go to De Leon's. Thank you.
What is that?
I know what it is, and I seriously, I have one like a few blocks down the street from my house, and I've honestly never been there, so I couldn't even tell you. I know how it's pronounced, and that's about it. All the help I can provide there.
Corby Cobus, good seeing you back here. Corby says Runza and ice cream might be the only thing Cornhusker Corner enjoys. I was at the Michigan game last year, and it was rough. Oh, man, don't do that, Corby.
No, that's
it's going to be a dub.
It's because you were in Michigan. That's why it was rough. Let's be real.
Let's see. All right. Moving on, we got a few more. A lot of predictions already for the next week's game. But before we do that, Chance wants to know, what personal protection items do you think I can get into the Colorado game if I go?
Like, wear a giant looking condom thing. So if they throw the piss balloons at you, it just bounces off.
Wear that sweet Nebraska hat that's 4 times too big and piss everybody up around you. That'll provide a nice area of protection.
Seriously, where I work at, it is a Super Mario Brothers when you get that first mushroom and he grows huge, and it's just a giant hat that seriously, like how you see my hands in my computer screen, I legit kid you not, it is that huge, and it has a styrofoam ring just right around your head, and that's how it fits. And like 3 rows behind you won't be able to see, and anything that gets thrown at your head will basically have a safer barrier, kind of just ready for anything that hits you in the head. Also, if you're going to Colorado, a nut cup and a bulletproof vest, probably not a bad idea.
I was thinking you could wear a wig like mine, and then you could just fit in with them fucking hippies. If they say anything to you, you just go, "Hey, man,
Smoke them if you got them."
420, blaze them.
Not reading that one, Fred. I'm not falling for it. Living in Omaha, David Matney asked a little bit ago, John, in regards to your experience, aka your death, what's the one thing you can share about your experience that you know now that others could learn from?
Oh my God, that's deep.
The one thing.
If one thing, here's the thing I would tell you. After you've been dead, you realize that 99% of what we're doing in life doesn't really matter at all. We worry so much about stupid things that don't matter. We worry so much, we catastrophize the future all the time. I wrote in my book, come on, what is the meaning of life? People always get into that, and people always bug me about it after I came, yo, you were dead. Tell us the meaning of life. Well, the meaning of life is very simple, and the problem with it is it's too simple. It's just to love others and let yourself be loved. If you watch Moulin Rouge, the character of Toulouse-Lautrec yells that in the movie, and that's it. It's that the problem with that is it's so simple that you can't sell it. You can't use it to sell shit on Amazon. You can't use it to sell Mercedes-Benz, because all those things are supposed to make you happy, and they don't make you happy. You choose to be happy, and you choose that no matter your circumstances. I went more than one there, didn't I? But honestly, that's it.
That's a deep cut pop culture reference, though. Moulin Rouge. Well done, John Leguizamo.
Yeah. My wife loves that movie. I love that movie. It's a very fun movie. It's beautiful. The way they did it was, you get so many cookie cutter movies nowadays that Moulin Rouge was different. You
mean you haven't seen this week's Spider-Man out in theaters? I'm sure there's another one next week if you want to catch it.
Yeah, it's just it. The superhero movies, I kind of enjoyed them to an extent, but after a while you're like, oh, make 30 more, please.
All right, let's shift gears here, at least for a few minutes. More predictions, more comments are coming. I've got a lot of them lined up, ready to go. But there's some bad news in Iowa. John, you asked me specifically to try to pull this video, and I did. This video comes to us courtesy of Twitter, but specifically the reporter in Iowa her name is Shannon Earhart, and you can see more of her work at SEHRHARDTKCCI. That's a whole lot, sorry. Anyway, this is a brief 11-second clip of her with quarterback Cade McNamara. Check it out.
And then you talk about rehabbing. How are you coming along?
I'm progressing, and that's all I want to say about that.
That's all I want to say about that.
I was gonna say that's all I got to say about that.
That didn't sound promising, John.
No, not for Iowa. It isn't. I mean, here's the thing. I brought this up I did the Big Ten TED show last night, and I think I brought this up, or maybe I did it Monday night. But you'd think if you were the coach at a place for 20 years, you'd be able to recruit players in the positions that were most important to getting your team to win. And Iowa has Cade McNamara, and then they have like no plan B, and the guy's banged up now. And Iowa puts themselves in these positions where right now you look at them, you go, I would have picked them to win the comp or the Big Ten West. But now you have one of their starting defensive linemen is suspended for the year for the NCAA for gambling. Cade McNamara is injured. He went through injuries last year. I don't want to have these guys. I don't want to beat them like that. I want to beat them straight up and make the tears come out of their eyeballs until blood flows out of their eyes and they weep blood. That's what I want when we play Iowa.
And
but
I
it's
think
just go ahead.
And I think too, yeah, as you put it, Cade McNamara, when you look at who they had at quarterback between Alex Padilla and Spencer Petras, Cade McNamara takes Iowa's QB position from an F plus to an A minus. And that is the only position where you look at Iowa's roster and you think that is a genuine weakness. If McNamara misses, say, even a month,
yeah,
that's going to be really hard on Iowa's offense because, as you said, what is their plan B? Their running game's okay. They have decent offensive line. They're going to be solid at tight end, and they rely on a very good defense. Cade McNamara is the reason why if Iowa puts up 21-24 contest, that defense is good enough to hold almost anybody else in the country, and has proven that. So if McNamara is hurt, all of a sudden you go, who at quarterback?
Yeah.
And they're going from 21-24 to possibly going back to the defense putting up 10 a contest.
I think they could, they should go back to like 1905 and run the offense from then. Where you just,
Kirk's first year at Iowa?
Yeah.
Fred says Iowa will bleed blood and mediocrity.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
I mean, as long as mediocrity is the best they do.
This is an interesting point from Bone-Led Corn-Fed. This is a Nebraska show, not an Iowa show. You're right. But
That's
we also
true,
make fun of Colorado. But it's Big Ten West. I mean, in the offseason, look, anything's fair game. We talked about a lot of off-the-wall shit this offseason. But, at the same time that we announced, we were talking about Matt Rhule coming on as a head coach, we were talking about the day after that, Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. So, I mean, these are our opponents. This is our conference, and I feel like it's important to share some of this information with you all because I feel, especially if you live in Nebraska, like if you get Sports Nightly or other sports talk shows, you get fed the same stuff just in a roundabout from all the talking shows. So I'm sure they were talking about this too, but hey, at the end of the day, Bone-Led Corn-Fed, John told me to. I'm putting my hands up.
Exactly. I did. Monday night. Yeah, take that up with me. Monday night we will have a Minnesota guy on to talk about Minnesota on the Monday Night Therapy show. So
here we go. Same guy, Bone-Led Corn-Fed says Iowa idiots out wandering around. I'll say Iowa QB idiots out without a quarterback.
There's a local T-shirt company in Lincoln that has a new Iowa shirt. It's red, but it says Iowa idiots out wagering on athletics.
was that Triple B?
It was Triple B, yeah.
Those guys are really good.
All right, let's see. Now we can skip that. We can talk about PJ Fleck, PJ Flem some next week a little bit. Since it's late, we're gonna knock out a few rapid fire questions here. Early on, Will 2013 said, "What are your guys' score predictions for next Thursday's game against Minnesota?" We will tell you next Wednesday when we do our Minnesota preview.
Is that what we do?
That's what we do. We always do.
I was going to blurt. I was just going to blurt.
I'm glad I stopped you. I'm glad
Okay.
I stopped you. So, Will, if you stuck around hoping to hear the score prediction, you got to come back next week.
I
But
was
that's
going
what
to
we
say,
do.
John will be there next week. No guarantee I might be, so I might be able to throw it out.
Okay, Jarek. In the off chance that you're not here next week, you can say you're sure, but not John. John,
Oh, yeah.
shut up.
Okay.
I will say, because, Greg wants us 15-0, so the only way you can go 15-0 is you got to start 1-0. Nebraska
Oh my
27,
God.
Minnesota 24.
Okay. That's close. That's a little closer than I'd like it.
Yeah. Got to break the one score curse, too, while you're at it. Just get it all out there.
Let's see. Lucas jumping in here early, but says Nebraska 17, Minnesota 30. Not holding any hope of winning this game. I'm already looking to Colorado. That's no fun.
Lucas, man,
And
it's the first game. It's the first game. You got to just, let it just lay back and let it happen kind of thing.
Yep.
You just that's a hippie attitude, isn't it?
and also, you're
Hey.
wrong, Lucas. You're wrong.
Oh,
Hey.
wow. Greg's
I
in
mean,
there swinging.
Northwestern is, allegedly good every other year, or was good every other year under Pat Fitzgerald. They started off 1-0 last year and then decided to go 0 for America. Hey, who knew after that? There's hope that an upset can happen, darn it.
Sam Roberts Golf says on Thursday, Nebraska crushes Minnesota 41-10 with 2 fumble recoveries, 1 a strip sack on Minnesota's first drive. We rushed for 350 yards, 2 touchdowns with a pick 6 in the fourth to crush any hope for Minnesota. Yes.
Oh, God, I would love that.
The old school way.
Yeah, I would
Shut
love
up,
that, and then I'd probably go to jail.
But if you're going to go to jail as a happy person.
Yeah.
All right? Just no sense of going to jail pissed off.
Charles is on the hopium just like I am and says Huskers 28, Gophers 24. Let's see. Brando Sports World says, is it Gopher hunting week already? Close enough. Let's whoop that used car salesman so bad that he'll go into the offseason needing another facial surgery due to the wrinkles caused by our chaotic defense.
Wow.
He follows that up by saying Huskers by 10 or Skurs by 10.
PJ Fleck. I mean, the Botox looks great, but seriously, does his face want to tell his eyebrows to come down a couple inches? Just seriously.
Also, yes, Charles, I agree. Shun the non-believer. Where's the Game of Thrones meme or gif that says shame, shame? James says, James is pessimistic, says Minnesota 38, Nebraska 28. But wait a minute, because somewhere in here, James says he's optimistic. James says, I truly believe the Huskers were going, we're going 9-3 last year. Sorry, I misread it, James. That's my fault. I'm compelled to remain skeptical.
I don't want us giving anything above 30 up. And if they get up like 27, 28, there you go.
That'll be the limit.
38 points would be a bad sign.
James also says that if Nebraska straight up dominates Minnesota in an old school way, this will be a fun season. And I
agree.
disagree.
No, it will.
Let's see here.
Because that is how
I'm going to have
compete.
fun no matter what happens, James.
Well,
doing it the old school way.
Because, John, you're going to be there. And Mike wants to know where's the tailgate at Huntington Stadium because he'll be in the Minnesota lot.
I am going to the Minnesotans for Nebraskan gathering in St. Paul before the game. And then you can get a shuttle bus to take you from there to the stadium.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that here a couple weeks ago on the show. mn4ne.com.
Yes. How do you display that?
Cool.
Here, I'll put it in the comments. I was going to do a tailgate.
Yeah, please do.
But I didn't hear anything back from my guys about doing anything, so nothing really happened. Because I do know people that tailgate at Minnesota, and we would crash their tailgate. And
Fred is absolutely killing me. Says Nebraska, Minnesota, each scoring 28. Patrick Duffy Leg has 3. Which, look, if you're a leg, the only way you're going to score is with a field goal. So
That means we win, Greg.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
It doesn't matter. Hey, it doesn't have to be pretty, just effective.
Yeah.
That's
Pat,
Matt
how I live
John
my life.
1999 says we go 10-2. I'm okay with that. 15-0 sounds better. 10-2 may be more realistic. I'm not sure.
10-2 will win you the West. Easy
Mike
enough.
Schuster, the win-loss predictions, we'll get into those next week as well in our final episode before the season truly begins. So, again, join us next Wednesday, 9 o'clock Central for that one. James says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied will we be next week?
6.5.
Jarek?
Well, obviously it's a 10 if we win. I think honestly, realistically for me, keep it within the 7.5 spread, and it'd probably be about a 6.5, 7.
There's no gray area for me. It's 0 or 10,
Did
depending on the outcome of the game.
yeah.
Fred says that Rhule's 5 o'clock shadow and Smock can score a safety to win. For all I care, just get it done.
Yeah.
Bone Lead Cornfed says 31-28. We win with an onside kick to stop. It's too soon.
Kick the game-winning field goal with 2 seconds
You gotta,
left. And
you
turn
know
around and
what?
onside kick.
You gotta call for what the situation demands, Greg.
One
I
last
think
question for John the Crusty.
80% of the situations you're in might call for an onside kick.
I think I know the answer to this one, but Brando Sports World wants to know, John, will we get to see you this year a few times doing a post-game reaction midfield? We want the people channel coordination to go viral once again.
I won't have a credential, therefore I won't be on the field, and certainly won't be at Minnesota because they're pretty restrictive about who they let on their field. I think there's a big sign. There's a big sign on my face with a circle through it.
All right, hold on. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm pulling up
You're pulling up what?
the schedule.
The
I'm
schedule.
pulling up the schedule.
What are you pulling up the schedule for?
I'm pulling up I'm pulling up the. I'm looking to see which home games are most likely to could most likely result in fans storming the field.
That'd be
Because
Michigan.
look,
That
you
would
may
be,
not get a credential, but you don't have to be credentialed to storm the field, John. I don't know if you know that or not. You
beat
should know that
Michigan. That'll
because
be an
it's
easy one.
All right, so let's see. Road game, no. Road game, no. Northern Illinois, Louisiana Tech, no. Michigan.
Yeah.
John, are you going to be in Lincoln for the Michigan game?
I have no plans at this time.
Okay, so you're going to be in Lincoln for the Michigan game. Michigan's probably going to be a top 10 team.
Yeah.
And when Nebraska wins, they will storm the field and remove a goalpost. And when that happens, John, you can stand, you can sit, you can lay down, you can cry, you can do whatever you want as long as you do it in the middle of the field and film yourself with a terrific post-game reaction.
You know, I have a bathroom. I have a tree. I have here. I'm going to find new and interesting places. New and interesting places.
Yeah, I'm a little scared by that. I'm a little scared by that. Curious, but scared.
Clay says Nebraska 10, Minnesota 9.
That would be
Fred
neat.
says-
Okay, now that would be like, okay, that's first of all, that would be if they played Iowa. Second of all, yeah, that'd be great.
Fred says the last time John went viral before that Gopher rant was back when he was in college. Cornhusker Corner agrees. Michigan is it, but to be honest, we're in Nebraska. Storming the field just seems wrong. The superiority complex of being a blue blood is baked into me at this point. But when's the last time we beat a top 10 team?
Oh, that's not
Exactly.
Michigan State, the
Yeah.
Brandon Riley catch along the sideline that was
Yeah.
ruled push out of bounds and then wasn't ruled a push out of bounds
Yeah.
for some odd reason.
Clay says, John, your new book title is New and Interesting Places.
Could be.
That's a picture book, and you don't want to know. You don't want to know that one.
Dane says, what does a loss to Minnesota but shows Matt Rhule has made progress look like?
We don't get dominated in the trenches.
Yeah.
I mean, you looked at our offensive line. I've said this a few times, but whenever somebody called a stunt or a twist or something with their linebackers and their linemen, we didn't have a clue as to how to block that. And if our offensive line can show that they actually can block, I know that's not seemingly much to ask for, but we haven't had it. So that's what I'm going to watch this game for specifically is how is the offensive line doing?
The communication on dealing with the stunts and twists. Yes,
Yeah.
Everybody was glued onto a guy and didn't look like it was comfortable passing off an assignment to somebody else. If all of a sudden you can get a guy that just says, hey, just stick out an arm and say, hey, you find him here. Yeah, that would go a long way. Just don't get ran over would be the primary point, both on offense or defense. Just don't get ran over.
Dane, welcome along. I think that might be Dane's first comment, or at least first one that we've caught. Vince Watson, good to see you. And it says, Lil Red yet to be sacrificed could be a bad omen. As we continue to put all of our blame on Lil Red.
You Lil Red haters.
Nothing more fun than watching Little Red just bounce up and down on his head in the middle of the field. Well, let's be real.
Yeah.
I'm 35 and still love that. That's one of the more exciting things to watch.
A little satanic, I'm just saying. And I think we're going to wrap it up with this. This is an interesting question from our friend who's in Omaha, if you didn't know, David Matney, who asked, by the way, an hour and 15 minutes ago, how much would a win against Minnesota change your current preseason prediction?
A lot.
It would.
Yeah, because John doesn't think we're going to win. John's a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, Debbie Downer.
And I'll point out, Greg, realistically, I'm kind of with John on this. I see it within the 7. I see it within the spread. I see us losing. But you beat Minnesota. I think Nebraska goes 7-5. And high hopes for me would be 8-4. You beat Minnesota, and all of a sudden, I genuinely think 9-3 could turn around and be very well in play.
Yeah, great.
And with the shot of winning the Big Ten West, because now all of a sudden Iowa doesn't look so terrible, and now maybe you could beat Wisconsin.
But it starts with Minnesota.
Maybe you could beat Michigan, Greg,
and then storm the field.
I know John threatened to poop. I know John threatened to poop his pants if we beat Minnesota. We beat Michigan. I might turn around and do that just to keep the trend going. I mean, if that's going to be the case, every Big Ten game,
there you go.
Somebody on coordination is going to have to go on a video just showing them pooping themselves here.
Corby says, beating Minnesota next week flips his record from 8-4 or 2-8-4. He says if we lose that game, he's thinking more 5-7. So. Yeah, that's right. Clay's on board. The consensus is 13-win season, 15 if you include the playoffs.
I was going to say, does that mean we get rolled like the Big 12 of the first round of the CFP then?
No, 15.
I'd be okay with that. I'd be if we made the playoff. I
wouldn't argue with making the CFP at all. I don't care if we turned around and got crushed by 30. We made the CFP.
Yeah.
But if we make the CFP, we won't get crushed. Like, we won't get ran out of the stadium because we'll have established some mark of I'm not going to use Haas's old term of incremental improvement, but just vast improvement.
I think that it's required. It's like a law that if you're a Big Ten team and your first appearance in the college football playoff, you have to be crushed.
No.
Okay.
No.
I mean, if you do make the CFP and then you turn around and win the first game, then you officially have as many wins in the CFP in your first attempt as the entirety of the Big 12 does throughout its history.
Wow, that's true.
All right, Fred. Yes, Fred, you've been watching the show long enough. You know that 15 wins. I've been saying it for months. says sampling Boulder's favorite product that's not Dion's foot. Okay.
Does that mean that instead of a 5-figure discount, Dion is an 8-toe discount?
And with that, I think, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to call it a night. As we say every week, we know you have a lot of entertainment options for 9 o'clock Central on a Thursday. We appreciate you spending your time with us. Don't forget, next week, the game will be going on right now. Hopefully, not hopefully, we'll be up. We'll be celebrating. So we'll be doing the show Wednesday, 9 o'clock Central. So make sure that you join us for that. We'll get into our season predictions. Of course, John and I, and we'll give our score predictions for the Minnesota game. So make sure that you're here for that. We want to thank Jarek for coming along and telling us about the way to piss off all the fans 3 rows behind you. I looked on Shield's website. I could not find that hat. I really wanted to get in John's hands.
I'll have to send a picture out on the channel then tomorrow. I'll find it for you.
Please do, and thanks for all your great insight. Thanks for all the position group previews and things we've been doing at coronation.com. Welcome aboard as your first. This is like your installation, so to speak, as an official Coronation contributor. You came here, you went up against the Chatterfields, and you succeeded, and you're welcome back anytime. So thank you. And John, be more positive, would you?
I'm positive. I'm a very positive person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm positive all the time. Yes. No, I'm just, there's, you can see the good and the bad.
I think what Greg's trying to tell you is being Charlie Sheen positive. Just go all in.
All in. So for our guest, Jarek,
I don't think Coke is legal.
All right. Well, then Pepsi.
I mean, I could find weed wherever I want. Coke, that's going to be a whole different level of shit that are going on.
Yeah. Much like winning ball games, it's not due to a lack of effort.
For our guest, Jarek, for our fearless leader and founder, John Dam Johnston, who, if he leaves, we all leave. I'm Greg Mahochko. This is the 5 Heart Podcast. We remind you each and every week that 5 Heart is all the heart you need. John?
Go Big Red. I think I hurt myself.
I'm not surprised.